Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 28, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. Now, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, we are still looking at finances today, but now we're going to look at creative finances. Okay, now remember I mentioned, now before I get into that, we have, who do we have? Will Riders is in the house with the gold. How you doing, Will? Glad you could join us. There we are. Yeah, Wu's going, and great riches for all I'm speaking, you know, to existence financially, spiritually, mentally, physically. Absolutely, this is all interchangeable in all fairness. Now, LA, so hopefully things are going well on your end. How you doing, LA? Glad you could join us. Hopefully things are stabilizing around you. You know, from our end, things are going to get busy, and of course, we've already made some headway that we were looking to. And Wu's just going, I finally made a little headway with my feet today after 2 years. Now, here, I kind of figured the toes had to go before the head did, but what the heck? I presume this means you're actually getting able to move forward a little better. Oh, fantastic, Wu. Now, I know you're open to a lot of things. If you've got a Reiki master close by, or yourself, get your foot chakras open. It will speed the healing on your feet like you wouldn't believe. And I know this works because it was by opening foot chakras, theoretically minor chakras, that I ended up assisting a woman and simply turning on her own lights so that she could get out of a wheelchair. There is very little you cannot accomplish. Now, the neat thing with the financial side, 2 days ago, I explained a method of generating an income with a credit card. Now, I talked about it, and it apparently wasn't as clear as I thought it was, but I talked to my son this morning, laid it out for him, and he went, absolutely. He says, I get what you're getting at. So he's starting to work on that. Oh, whoa. There's no problem with you being 3 hours ahead. The odds are I'm up when you are. Today I slept in, but more often than not, I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning, which makes it 5 o'clock your time. So from that end, that works out relatively well. But I talked to my son this morning, laid out the same method. He looks at me and goes, well, that makes sense. He asked a couple of minor questions. But to give you an idea, I mentioned I had a plan in place that I was going to be correcting things. Well, I got my rent all stable. It was ready to go. Then I ended up with money. And the first thing I did with that money coming in, my one credit card for the first time in months is now below limit, which means what I was talking about 2 days ago with generating an income with a credit card, I've already got that set in motion. Now, I've only got about $6 right now, which means I won't be doing a lot with it. But it starts working effective immediately. I've still got more money coming in before the end of the month, so that always works out. Oh, Oh, they're going to grow a staggering amount. Lou's just going. Kids' last day of pre-kindergarten is Friday, so a lot more free time. No, nope. I'd argue that point wholeheartedly. I do not argue that the Munchkins' last day was Friday. But I will tell you, the idea of free time, more free time, that doesn't wash in my world. But hopefully you'll do better than that. Now, I managed with a little bit of money that came in, I brought my credit card under its limit, so it is now in the realm of being able to be used to generate an income. I got one of my big bills paid off. It got out of the way. When I get done this stream, I've got 2 more bills I'll be able to pay that I've been delayed on. Okay, so things are starting to move. And this is what we're talking about now. I mean, we're talking about creative financing or creative visualization to make your world, to improve your finances. Now, this little binder, okay, you'll notice it's got a whole pile of paper in it. Well, here's the thing. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since the first Saturday of June of 1976. And one girlfriend I used to have point blank told me, she says, you don't game to escape things, you game to plan. This book, the character I've got here, let me just take a peek. Not blue. Get all that out of the way. Whoop, that's my map. I'm not going to show you the map because that doesn't work. There. We have currently in the game. Now, bear in mind, I'm playing. We've got a game. There's only the 2 of us there. But the neat part about it is we have between us. Now, D&D is supposed to be, a lot of people use it for hack and slash, for just, killing characters, building your own character up, etc., etc. Okay, we took a different tack on this one. And between the 2 of us, we now own 11 businesses in a D&D campaign. Now, the reason I say this is creative financing is because I'm taking the effort I'm putting into building one of these businesses and making them flourish to lay the groundwork so I can do exactly the same thing in the real world. Now, needless to say, I'm only just pulling out of a mess. But from here on out, everything is geared towards putting the money where it belongs, reinvesting it so it works properly. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing on that. But the reason I brought this little thing up, take a look at your own world. Are you content with where it is? Do you have the financing you desire to actually put in place? If not, it is time to start making it happen. Now, where are we? Oh, yes. And of course, people talk about, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. Tell you, I'm probably the poster child for that. And yet, I made the trip to Reno. We've got a trip already booked, bought, and paid for to go to Texas now at the end of August. And we're already planning another trip down, or in all fairness, well, it's both. But we're planning another trip 3 months down the road before Christmas. And this is without a huge income. Now, if I can do this without a huge income, you can certainly do it with a better income. And you're going to be hard pressed to have a lower one. Okay. Now, what do we got? And, well, there we go, Miss coming in. Who got the gold? Renee, how you doing? You are in with the silver. Hopefully your day is going well. And then coming in with the bronze is Rachel. And Rachel, how you doing? hopefully your life is starting to turn in the right direction. The nice part about it. Yeah, I agree there. Well, Storm has done a staggering job of clearing things up. Joseph, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You are in with honorable mention. Now it's time to start creating the world we desire as individuals to see. Now, the neat part about it is this. As you get your life turned around and your finances running smoothly, let me ask you, if you're having a good day, do you not tell other people that you're having a good day? Okay. Do you not share that information? I know in my case, I always have done. Okay. Sometimes TMI, but that's okay. But when your life starts running a little more smoothly, people will notice. Oh, you didn't, yeah. And what have we got? That's okay. We don't forget honorable mention. The reality of it is, guys, that I do not see anybody as more valuable than the next. Yes, I did steal that idea I did take the idea from Dave from Spaced Out Radio, okay, to work with the issue of gold, silver, bronze, and honorable mention. Absolutely, I did. Okay, but every single one of you is part and parcel of a very big project. We are setting out to change the world itself. We're done with this idea of listening to the world, to the leaders of the world, or the so-called leaders going, oh, we're all going to suffer. We're all going into a financial crisis. We're going to have oil shortages. You know what? I'm worrying more about my coffee shortage. But no, I'm doing good here. The reality is, as you change your life, okay, now, I am just right now, I literally, my bill on my credit card was $294 overdrawn. So I put $300 on it. Now that's only a $6 window. That's it. Okay. Now, can I go out and start generating an income? Absolutely. And here's the kicker to it. Let's say I go out tomorrow, which is quite possible. Let's say I go out tomorrow and I spend $5 on a coffee. What I will do is I'll spend it on the credit card, make sure it's active again. But in 2 weeks' time, I will put that $5 plus a little extra if I've got it onto the credit card and bring it down. And that's how we start actually killing the credit card off and still keeping it active. That's just the reality of it. Oops. This is why I've got that list here, is so I can remember to do what I'm supposed to do. Now, that was gotten rid of. Got to the bank. All that's got to be dealt with. That was dealt with. But a couple of other bills I can get cleared off. This boils down to watch this. Okay. Thought is where it starts, way up here in the etheric level. Then the idea will either get to your heart as a feeling or it'll get to your mind as a thought. Once it does that, now we bring it in and write it down. This is simple physical manifestation at its finest. Thought comes down, you write it down, okay, and I look at it here, and I've got to do my daily journal. I didn't do it yet. So what I've done is I thought about it, I wrote down journal. Okay, Now, not only have I written it down, I've also spoken it, which takes that physical form, flips it over, and puts it out to the world. Now, the reality is this. I turn around and go, this is what I'm going to do. But, and this applies to you as well, when you say you're going to do something, follow your word. This is just a tool to help you stay focused. Okay, now I will tell you, my list won't do you a bit of good, but your list will. So we are looking at a lot of things changing, but they change because you decide they're going to. Okay, what do I got here? Don't require that. That can go over the laundry basket. Also known as the cloth I didn't need. But I always I'm constantly looking at what I'm working on, going, what am I overlooking? What am I not content with? And then, of course, because I do it the way I do it, I turn around and go, well, what am I supposed to deal with? Nope, that's still wet. I don't know if that's a bud or not, as in a flower or not. But let us see. That's not doing a whole lot. Don't mind me, brain's on hold. But when you look at your finances, take a look at the thing you desire to buy. Okay. Now, again, it boils down to marking it down so you can start targeting it and going, okay, what do I desire? So you walk into a decent store, to a store you like. Let's just take a look at upgrading your finance, upgrading a chunk of furniture. Go into a normal store, one that sells them outright. Find out what the price is. Then go to a rent-own store. Check and see what they'll charge you per week to get that kind of an item. Or what they can charge per month. Okay, you can do it that way, or you can do it the other option. But figure out what they're going to charge. Now, myself, anytime you go into a rent-own place, they will tell you it's a 1 year or 2 year thing. In most cases, what you're going to buy on credit, what you're going to buy on payments. Okay, now on payments on a credit card, you're looking at 20%, maybe 30%. On a rent-to-own, you're looking at well over 100% in interest. Okay, now this is just a bad investment. Okay, but remember, I don't look at things in the way of thousands of dollars. I look at them in the way of dollars, and of $2 or $3. The reason I bring that up is I got the credit card down. I'm going to start using it to generate an income probably tomorrow. I won't do it today because I won't leave the house. Not today. But with this neat little binder, we have worked out how much money it costs us to run each business, what we're paying on tax, what it costs to stock the place, to pay the place. So we know by putting it here in a fantasy setting, I'm organizing it so I can do exactly the same thing in the physical world, in this world. And I'm telling you, literally, if you follow these steps, okay, if you pay attention to them, you will find they work. I know they'll work because they work for me. Okay, and matter of fact, I know I'm going to leave the house tomorrow. But let me see something here. I require, where are we? Just trying to remember how to write. Now, the reality is, when I get an order for a book, I always give myself 3 business days to get it out because I know what my schedule looks like. So the fact I didn't leave the house today does mean I didn't get down to the mailbox. Oh, Yeah, Joseph, what I did there is I killed the overhead, and I've got my window and my blinds open in front of me. So this is all natural lighting. But somebody mentioned that the other day because I forgot to turn the light on. And all of a sudden somebody says, "Oh, it's better lighting." I'm like, okay, I can work with it. Yeah. Yeah. In all fairness, Joseph, I agree. When you're buying things, thrift stores are a good option. I mean, they're secondhand. I grew up on secondhand. And most of you that are my age grew up on secondhand clothes. It was very rare we actually got brand new ones ourselves. Right. I think the only thing we ever automatically got brand new was undershorts and socks. Right. Other than that, everything else was a hand me down pretty much, unless it was completely worn out. Now, the neat thing about it, I'm taking a look at this. Well, the first thing I've got on my list, I've got 3 bills that are I'm getting debt free before I start purchasing. But if all I have is my disability, if that's all I get, it's going to take me 3 years. I will be 100% debt free. I'm betting I'll be able to cut it down faster than that. Oh, put that behind me. Spotted it. I like this one better. Put that where it belongs so I don't hurt myself. Because I don't know about you, but I don't like hurting myself. Could have sworn I put it over there, but apparently I did not. Well, there it is. Frame box. See, I look at it this way. If I go at 34,000 divided by 700 equals okay. If I only get the disability, okay, without putting any strain on myself at all, in 4 years I will be 100% debt free, car paid off, all of my credit cards clear, and quite frankly generating an income, and everything else running smoothly. That's assuming I'm on straight disability. Well, I made that comment. We ended up selling a book yesterday, and I've got another client that I'm doing a reading for tomorrow. So I'm not sitting around waiting. Yes, I've got my disability, but now is the time to take a look at it. And if I take not that one because I'm using that for the other side, that, as you can tell, I sit still a lot, right? But the reality of it is, if I write down that I'm debt free, okay, and this is just it. Like I said, think about it, write it down. You bring it into the physical world by writing it down. Now, whether that means taking pen and paper or a computer, your call. Okay. The fact is, you're drawing it into the physical world so other people can see it if you choose to show them. And then by stating what I'm looking at, this simply brings it back into the world to spread out to other people. So you can get the idea straight in your own head. If it works for me, it is pure math. If it works for me, if you follow the same formula, it will work for you. I have no doubt about this at all. Okay, so at $700 per month, it's going to take me 34 and 48 months or 4 years. Okay, now I'm not waiting for that to happen. I am turning around and going, okay, here's how we do it. And the method I'm looking at, it literally boils down. Well, I don't care then. Okay, ring for somebody else. I get a staggering number of people who go, oh, we want to talk to you. Like somebody phoned me today, right? Sounded legit. And then they wanted me to put my information into an automated system. I'm not about to do this. You know, I don't know about you, but I don't trust computers well enough to do that. And I certainly distrust people well enough to go, they're likely to set something up. You know, that's just the reality of it. But I take a look at this, and the way to figure out how long it's going to take you, okay, you still have to know how much money you've got coming in. Okay, but figure out what your overall debt load is. In my case, about $34,000. Now, remember what I said about I went bankrupt on 6 and 14? Now I'm sitting at 34, but 3 years ago, I was sitting at almost 70. Okay, I think. Paid off 20 there. Yeah, almost 70. I'm now down to 34, and in 4 more years, if I only have a $700 income, okay, like 700 spare, I will be debt free in 4 years. Okay, I'm not waiting that long. But figure out what your overall debt load is. Figure out how much spare cash you've got. Okay, and that's where that issue was I was talking about if you go back and watch the video from 2 days ago, you'll understand the methodology behind it. Failing that, okay, this neat little book here, okay, this neat little book here, Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. This gives you the point information to make it happen. Okay, and I know these tools work because many people have used them. Okay, I just figured it was time to get it on paper before I die for the last time. Because the stuff that's sitting up here, I die, it doesn't have anywhere to go. It goes with me. There is so much information that has been discovered over the centuries that has been lost because it wasn't written down or because the person who knew it died before they said anything. Okay, I don't desire to leave that legacy. I am doing my best to bring all of this into balance. And I put my eyeballs away. Oh, heavens, LA, that was a brilliant idea. That was absolutely perfect. Because as far as I understand it, I'm going to be talking to my financial advisor soon. Okay. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to make certain I'm right. As far as I understand it, you've already made your payment. That whole chunk will come off the principal. And I just got to ask that. Oh, Joseph is just letting us know the boosters for the Atlas rocket were lost. Well, as long as the rocket itself didn't get lost, we're still in good shape. Yo. Oh, there we go. The neat part. There we go. There is a lot. Gee, Joseph, I thought that was the rule of 72. They lost the paperwork. I'll tell you, in today's world, that's a disaster. But we have an EMP pulse and we are back in the Stone Ages. Now, the neat thing about it is this. I'm taking the information I've got now, getting it written down. Because when you take a look at your life, if you're not happy with the way it is, it is time to start making adjustments. Okay, it is time to start getting creative about it. Now, where did I put it? What this binder is doing is it's letting me on paper in in game time figure out what I require. What things am I overlooking? Advertising costs, supply, demand, all of this is being dealt with. Now, the funny part about it is I am going to eventually, these are just long range, when I've got the cash flow to do it. Okay, I am going to end up building an ark. Well, I'm going to build a physical healing center. Okay, that covers that it'll be a small community unto itself. I'm doing that in the game already. Now I'm going to start doing it in the real world. But I'm starting off on the ground level. I was talking to somebody today, and they were saying, "Oh, yeah, I know what you do with $10,000." I looked at the guy and I said, "Look, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but you are so far outside the realm of what I'm looking at. People on the whole don't have, they don't have they don't have $10,000 extra." Okay, I got you beat on that one, Joseph. My business class was 40 years ago. But, the fact of the matter is, whether you're working in multiples 78 or 72 doesn't matter. Okay, the fact is, if you pay attention to what you're spending and you realize that that what my dad used to say was real clear. Okay, a penny saved is a penny earned. If you're not making interest payments, then frankly you're saving those. And if the money you're saving is sitting in a bank that generates interest, all of a sudden you got this neat little thing. Okay, and that is you're making more money. Now here's the thing. I was asked a really intelligent question here about what I was talking about. What do you do with the money you didn't pay in interest? Okay, and that's a little tricky, but if you've got the excess in your bank, okay, if you've got that extra money, pull it aside, and all you do is you look at what the credit is. Like I said, I'm working with just simply with a simple issue of 20% interest on a credit card. Doesn't matter what your credit card is. If you look at it 20%, then all you do is take whatever money you're spending, okay, and you take that money, or you take 20% of that. So for instance, if I'm spending $5 tomorrow on coffee, 20% means $1. Is it the same value? The answer is yes. But what it isn't is the same buying power. Okay. Joseph is going, the question is, if you pay 2010 money and the money you pay in 2020, is it the same value? The value is still the same. A $2 bill is a $2 bill. But the buying power, because of inflation, gets crippled. So I would be inclined to say, and this is just a rough ballpark, if inflation were only 2% per year, good luck with that. Over 10 years, you'd be looking at 20%. Meaning, if you've got a $100 bill from 2010, it would only be worth $80 in 2020. Now, this is just, I'm making up the numbers as I go along. These are not actual research numbers. And that's where people got hung up on Tuesday, it would seem. Okay, but the money itself is still the same dollar value. Okay, the purchasing power of it is another issue altogether. And that's where you have to look, or where it would be wise to look. Now, before we go down that road, understand there are a lot of variables, a lot of curious questions that could come up. And, point blank, I don't have all the answers. What I do know is patterning. And I do know if you pay attention to the patterning, okay, like here's another one with patterning that goes. Now, people have tried talking me into getting involved in the stock market. Not going to happen. Okay, but I did pick up some information. When you're looking into buying stocks, you look into it, and this is where the imagination gets into play. Take a look at it, and do your proper research. Get all the portfolios, all the forecasts that you're talking about. But what the stockbrokers will tell you is look at all the news reports that are coming out. Figure out what the company is going to do. Okay, and base your investment on that. I'm telling you, that's backwards. They're not the ones you need to know what they're up to. The ones you need to know what they're going to do is what are the rest of the buyers going to think the company's going to do. Because that's how your stock market is going to modify. For me, I've got a couple of very simple stocks I'll be dealing with. And they may not be the best buying, but they make the most sense to me. I've been dealing with a bank for 40 years. Okay, I will be starting as I get a little more money, which means before the end of this month, I'm going to book time to go in and talk to my bank about making sure I understand how to handle their online banking so I can start purchasing stocks in the bank that's been supplying me and servicing my needs for the last 40 years. To me, this is an investment worth looking into. Okay, considering the one that's servicing me now bought the company that I was working with to start with. But let me ask you this. This is where creative financing comes in. Okay, now take a look at your rent. And we'll start there. Ideally, you're going to require... Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. LA goes 70 years ago, a simple meal from McDonald's was 39 cents. Today it's $5. Okay. Yeah, if you do that, we go. Don't do that. That means in 20 years, it is 12 times the cost. Okay. Which is absolutely insane. That is 1,200% rise in cost. And that's based on nothing but, in my opinion, greed. Now, I don't go to McDonald's anymore. I don't go to the bar, so I don't go to McDonald's. McDonald's for me was great. It worked well as an alcohol pre-soak or a post-soak. Well, and that's just it, man, Joseph. With so many banks that are on the edge, okay, it's time to look at your own money. I was talking to somebody just today, and he suggested if you can get cash in your home, like actual physical cash, might be an idea. Now, here's the thing. Okay, I don't look at it and go, oh, the banks are going to crash, run and deal with this. I'll tell you, though, I do recommend 3 months of supply at home, 3 months of finding out expenses, 3 months of food. Absolutely, I do agree with that. That is not called preparing for the end of the world. This is called preparing for a glitch that you're not expecting. Okay, so take a look at that. Now, my rent, okay, I'm paying just shy of $1,100, which means in cash at home, I'm looking at, if I look at $1,500 a month, pays all of my living expenses, including food. Okay, so with that in mind, you take $1,500 per month. Okay, multiply that by 3 months, and what we have is a total of $4,500 cash in the bank or in the house. Okay, now this doesn't mean put it out and tell everybody you've got it. This means put it in a secure location, i.e., a lockable safe, a lockable firebox. Okay, put it there and keep it there. That's in case you have a glitch. And this is one of those things I'm starting to build right now. The other thing, 3 months of non-perishable food. Okay, again, we're not looking at bracing for the end of the world. We're looking at making certain if you have a glitch, you can solve the problem. Okay, so these are things that are going to happen in my house. I recommend they happen in yours. Right now, rest assured, I don't have $4,500 to my name, never mind in free-flowing cash. But that is the target I'm looking at. And it's the one I recommend you do. Well, and there's a lot of people that are. Okay, there's a lot of people expecting a reset. Okay, I'm telling you, what I'm looking at is, yes, it may happen. But how about if we start paddling away from the falls before we go over them? This is what I'm referring to. Because if you stay on the current path, if we stay on the path, we could look into all of this, absolutely. But think of it this way. Let's assume for a half moment that's going to happen. Now, you got a choice. You can start moving towards bracing for it now, or you can do like most people and go, oh, it's not going to happen, and totally ignore it, and then deal with it when it hits. I'm telling you, if it's coming, there's not much you're going to do to stop it, but what you can do is brace yourself so it doesn't hit you as hard. Okay, recommendation. Absolutely. You get your dried foods, you get your canned foods, that sort of thing. If they are pre-made, if they are non-perishable and pre-made, okay, you're sitting in good shape. This is why, and this is just an idea. Not surprising there, Joseph. And that's the whole catch. Because if we have a reset, we could be looking at a long one. But if you've got to jump on it, you're in better shape. Now, I do know jerky keeps for just about as long as it can get. This is why they used to use, salted pork and that sort of thing and kept it around, was because it didn't go bad. Okay, canned food can go bad, but if you get your non-perishables put in place, then you are going to find things work a whole lot better. It may not be great, but far better to have baseline food than none. Okay, and I will tell you, I made the mistake of having a pile of water on hand. Okay, but I'll tell you, after a while, it becomes pretty stale. Not enjoyable, but stale water is better than no water, providing it doesn't have a green film on it. So take a look at the creative side of it. And when we're talking financing, understand finances, money, works exactly the same way as energy does. If you can guide your money to do what you will, but it takes forethought. Okay, it takes absolute forethought to make things happen right. And what we're looking at here is, if you look at it, now, most people talk about 3 meals a day. That's no problem. Just be aware that you have to have some food. I've cut down to quite often only 1 meal a day, where I actually stop. It used to be I ate only 1 meal a day. I start when I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I finish when I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. Not a wise idea. I gained way too much weight. And that works out. Yeah. See, Joseph, you're one of these people that are set up for an eventual problem. Most of us are not. But those ideas work really well. I do know, at least my understanding, is that there are very few water filters that work well. Okay. But getting a water filter, even if it's just for a jug, is better than not having anything. Now, I don't know about the preservation of most stuff. What I do know is in order to make your world right, okay, it's imperative you start thinking about it. Okay, get your ideas on paper. Now, I am not talking about survivalists. I am talking about living. It is easy for people to die. They do it all the time and doesn't take a lot of effort. The challenging part is how do you live? Okay. Now, I'm looking at a minimal income. I'm still. Oh, there you go. Joseph goes, gravel, sand, and charcoal filter. Homemade. Okay. Now, at this point, and I'm thinking of a few things that you could work with. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Yeah, definitely, LA. This is why I'm looking at this now. Because I finally got it through my head. And effective today, like I said, as soon as I brought my credit card below, I would start using it. So now I'm looking at it, and I know I will be writing these things off really flaming quick. Okay, I've got advertising that I've paid for. I won't be renewing it. But now what I'm looking at is the other side of that. How do I get the advertising to work properly without paying a fortune that doesn't actually result in anything? That's the reality behind life, is we have to look at it and go, what are we up to? Okay, are you content? How are we doing, Justin? Glad you could join us. Are we going to sit back and let the government or let the major moguls decide whether you're safe, or are you going to take it into your own hands? And I mean financially safe. I'm not talking weaponry. Okay, but not that. What I just do it right there. When I started working on this, like I said, this is my gaming binder, and all of the information in here. Let's open that up a little. This is all loose leaf. Okay, but this is all designed to build an empire. Remember I mentioned I was building an empire here? Okay. Felix, glad to see you. I do trust your day is going well. The reality of it is this. I'm taking this gaming, which is using your imagination. Okay. The reality of it is, Joseph, I do agree with you. Coast to coast is a good place to go. The fact of the matter is, I made a commitment to myself a long time ago that the people that required finding me will. I've told people, somebody wants to talk to me on a radio show, I will quite happily work out when. Okay, if you desire me to come down and talk at a conference, drop me a line, we'll work it out. Okay, the reality of it is, the number of times I've talked to people and said that and had no response, it's more effective for me to literally look at the world I've got and go, okay, this is what I'm doing. It's working for me. If your method is not working for you, give this one a shot. It has literally worked for thousands of others. And to put that in perspective, okay, in order to put that in perspective, you got to realize I've got 14 years under my belt doing consulting for people in personal and business. Okay, about 65% are on relationships, about 30% are on business, and about 5% cover the rest of it. rest assured there's very little I haven't talked to people about, including things like, what was it? Spontaneous combustion. I've looked into it. I've talked to people about it. I also ended up running across a case of spontaneous cryogenics. A person froze to death in the middle of the summer, rock solid, in a heartbeat. Okay. Same way that people suddenly burst into flames. Well, not quite the same way because it had the opposite effect. But in 40 years I've covered, I kid you not. Now, I've said it was well over 100,000 clients. The reality is it's actually over 150,000 clients. Okay. And I'm still, like I said, I've opened the door. I'm going to deal with it again. Okay. Had somebody call me up as soon as I said that, just Wednesday, I ended up meeting somebody for a local reading. Okay. I ended up doing that and I'm opening the door. Okay. I ended up opening the door and saying, okay, let's get this started again. Okay. And that's what we're looking at. But the practical side, the UFO side and the different races and what have you, I've already got the front of the book dealt with. Now I'm going into the races themselves. Okay. And when I said it was going to be the end of July, we have it dealt with. I've already got the front part of it done. Now I'm going into the individual races, right? Which means by the end of July, the second printing will go to print, and net result be available. But I'll tell you, it turns out it's going to be a lot bigger than the last one. That'd be appreciated, Joseph. What I did was I've gone, okay, I've let people know this is where I am. But my going out, I know my diplomatic approach is not good. If there's one thing I know, it's my marketing and my ability to market is not well developed. And my ability to be politically correct is almost non-existent. I do know the next time somebody wants to do a live interview with me, when they sit there and tell me, oh, you can't move while you're talking, I'm going to look at them and go, do a different interview. Because I tried that on one interview. Never did see what happened to it. I ended up doing an interview for TV. They told me they'd send me the link to when it came out. I never heard word one about it. Okay, so I don't even know if it ever came out. But what I do know is every time they ask me a question, I go to talk. And I'd say what I was going to say. And, oh, you were moving. You need to sit still. I'm not putting myself through that stress. If I have to sit still, it's like I told a businessman, and I'll tell you the same thing. If you've got a skill that is usable, if you know how to run a business or how to set things up for a company or for a person, do not worry about the way you're dressed. If they tell you you've got to be dressed in a certain fashion, unless you're going to a specific spot, like a black tie event, where the business has a code. But you personally, if you're just going to somebody's business, I will tell you. How are we doing, Gluteus? Hopefully your day is going well. And I haven't seen you in here before, so just a quick note. Take a look at the top of the chat room. You'll see a whole list of, real short list of rules. Okay, they apply to literally everybody. Okay, so just so you're aware where things sit. I do have LA Moon and Storm in the chat room. They're in behind scenes as well, making certain that this stays a safe place. Now, when you're looking and going and talking to somebody about your ideas on how you can help them, okay, if they tell you you've got to be dressed in this outfit, they're not as interested in your information as they are in whether it looks good to other people. Just my personal insight into it. It's like I told somebody one day, they said, I'd have invited you to our temple if you'd have been dressed better. I looked at the guy, and he was a nice chap. But I looked at him and went, the day God tells me that I need to dress better, I'll probably pay attention to it to a degree. But the day I start paying attention, don't mind me, just my ears. Fortunately, not my heart. I told him, I said, the day that God tells me that I've got to change my wardrobe, I'll probably pay some attention to it. But the day that I start worrying about whether I'm dressed ideally to handle talking to somebody else, I'll go check myself into a nut house to find out what went off kilter. Now, I am going to be upgrading my wardrobe, but that's on my doing. Okay, that's because I desire it. It's like one of the things I did write down here. Okay, one of the other things I'm working on for me, and this is that creative side, I've already got it written down, that this little bit of a chin I've got here, I don't like. And that's me that doesn't like it. Okay, so I'm going to drop enough weight to get rid of this. Okay, needless to say, I'm keeping this a little cleaner. I will end up with proper muscle definition. And yes, I am looking at 61 years old, I am targeting getting a washboard stomach. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And again, I'm doing this because that's how I see myself. Or more to the point, how I desire to. Take a look in the mirror. Are you content with where your world is? Take a look at it. Figure out, like, for instance, when we look at buying something big that isn't a critical issue, like let's say you're looking at buying a new bed. Okay. Yeah, you got one of two choices. Your bed still works. Now, we are taught so much. Go get them brand new. You get a brand new item. It feels better. And it does. But here's the thing. Don't make the mistake of trying to get it too fast. If you take a look at it and go, I know I'm going to require a new bed. Okay, figure it out. Now, my cursory estimation says you're looking at less than $2,000 to buy it. Thanks, Joseph. Appreciate that. To get a full bed, and we're talking box spring mattress, pillows, the whole 9 yards, you should be able to get a reasonable one for about $2,000. Well, that being said, we take a look at that at $200 a month. In a year, you got $2,400. Okay, if you're doing $200 a month, $2,400 in a year will cover the cost with tax and inflation, by the way. That's how you work at it. Do not go paying $300 a month to get the thing now. It's not worth it. Okay, but it boils down to picture what you would like to see. Like, let me ask you this. And certainly input from the chat room is welcome. If you look at it to get a new wardrobe, what would it cost you? Pants quite often will cost $30 a pair. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't require seven pair of pants. Okay. Yeah, you really don't. But if you're doing an upgrade on your wardrobe, figure out, first of all, what you require. Okay. And you don't have to make a detailed list. Just a ballpark. Okay. Then start putting the money aside. Start picking the stuff up one step at a time. This is why I figure inside 4 years, by the time I hit 65, now I'm already retired. Go figure. Already retired. I'm now traveling more on a whole lot less money. But I've got 34 books I'm working on. Okay, 34, I think. I shouldn't really do a recount on that. But Races of the World, I've already started doing the final run on it. And at two races a day, okay, at 2 races a day, we are going to end up having it done in 2 months. Okay, because I got 60 races to do. No, that's wrong. 2 races a day, that's in 1 month, which obviously my math is a little screwy on occasion, but I'm working on that. I finally got the breakthrough on Return to Paradise, the 3rd book in the trilogy. Okay, and really the 12th one in the series. But I've already got the breakthrough on it. I've already got the coloring book in place, which means I got 3 books coming out back to back. Okay, and now I'm at a place where I can go. Joseph, if you promoted books before, and I put this out to multiple people, okay, I figure what I don't do, okay, just to be blunt, and this is for anybody out there, what I don't do is I don't pay up front. Okay, it's just that simple. I do it based on sales. I've made the mistake of turning to so-called professionals and amateurs alike. And they said, give me X amount. Even close friends, I've turned over chunks. Okay, I've turned over stacks of books to sell. Never seen a dime. Okay, now, with this in mind, maybe I'm cynical. Okay, but I have figured out how to track it. And that being said, absolutely. Do I pay based on what goes out? Yeah, that's the two. I've got 2 bills that have to go out today. Okay, and they'll be paid as soon as I get done this stream because I'm set up to do it. And we have people up front, which is good. It's time for me to start pushing that side of it. I know. Now, here's the thing. No, your best company owner, your best CEO doesn't know how to do everything. The best manager of a lab does not know how to do everything in the lab. What they know is how to find the people that do know how to do the things. Okay, this is why I've already got things set in motion to get help with a memory recall. If it works, and I still say if, I'm probably more skeptical than the next guy, but I am working on getting my own capacity to heal, and especially to heal, to guide others in healing. I have set things in motion to make that a reality at a level that was very extreme centuries back. I'm looking to make it happen again, but here's the kicker. If it happens, thank you very much, Joseph. The reality is, if you're over the top, that's no problem. Okay. Better to, as long as you don't turn around and go, he's going to make it happen. I'm not. What I'm going to do is open the doors, okay, and go, here's how to do it. Now, I've already set it in motion. I said 2 days ago, I was going to make this happen. 48 hours, and we're in business. Okay, 48 hours. I don't believe in taking a whole lot of time. I'm not good on the patience thing. Used to be fantastic on procrastination. Okay, now I can't be bothered. One of the things we have to realize, and this is where things will be interesting. Quite frankly, Joseph, I'm looking forward to meeting you. And I will be able to explain to you. I can't do it here, okay, because physically it requires visual context. And trying to show you here isn't going to work. But I can explain why my brain works the way it does. Now, bear in mind, to figure this out took a world-renowned psychiatrist and a specialist, his wife in this case, in radion telemetry, to be able to figure out the genetic configuration of why I think the way I do. Okay, they never could track it anyway, but at least we pieced it together. Now, I can tell you these tools work because I see the outcomes. Okay, I don't see, like, if you take a look at two hills, okay, you got two mountain peaks. You're starting on this one, you got to get to this other one, and there's all this cloud in below. Now, I don't see what's going on down here, but on the creative side, I look at it this way. Right now, I'm as far in the bin as I can get, but in 4 years, I will be, and I kid you, this sounds absolutely cocky as all get out. In 4 years, assuming I'm working on only $700 a month, okay, I am looking at 4 years. I will be debt free with a minimum of $20,000, $15,000 in credit available. Okay, that's starting from no gas in my tank and no money in the bank. Okay, in 4 years, how's that for a goal? And the neat part about it, the neat little part about it is I am looking at doing this using my money. Now get this. This is a gaming tool. This is for Dungeons and Dragons. But we're building an empire in here. I asked a buddy of mine one day years ago. Okay. I says, what is this? Every time I turn around, it doesn't matter what the character, I'm building an empire. Okay. It doesn't matter who's running the game. This is what I'm doing. And here we are in the physical world. I'm looking at the same thing. Now, yes, how can this guy that's got no money, is self-professed, broke as heck, how's he going to build anything? Stubborn disposition and creative financing. Creative financing does not mean overextending yourself. It means taking your credit card, in this case, taking my credit card, and using it to earn an income. And I know that sounds weird, but instead of going into it again right now, listen to the show from 2 days ago. Listen to Friday's show. Just out of curiosity, Friday was the show on the 24th. Okay. Absolutely, Joseph. And Joseph goes, and a little help from your friends. Oh, I appreciate that, Joseph. The funny thing about it, and I got in trouble with this with LA and with Storm. I says, the reality is I appreciate nobody asking for payment. Karmic law is simple. Energy out, energy in. Okay. And in this case, that means you're putting the effort in, or you're putting the effort out. It flips around and comes back. This is karmic law at its finest. Now, I understand with a comment like, I'm not asking for payment. I understand that. Okay, and I really do appreciate that. Fortunately, what that does is eliminates the stress if things go sideways. What are we? Oh, don't need that. Okay, but I'm a very firm believer, and I live wholeheartedly via karmic law. To me, it just has to be that way. Absolutely, Joseph. The fact of the matter is, a gift, as it said, a gift, if you receive payment for a gift, it's not a gift. Okay? Or more to the point, if you ask for payment for a gift, it's not a gift. Okay? The First Nations used to have a neat little idea. If you gave them a gift and they couldn't use it and they didn't like it, at the next potluck, they'd take that gift, wrap it back up, and hand it to somebody else. Now, I'm doing the same thing this year for Christmas. I wonder if I've got one there. I don't know if I do. And since it's not readily available, I'm not digging it out. But I've got a couple of pictures around here that I don't have a lot of use for. I've got no place to put them. They really don't hold my attention, but they will brighten somebody's life. Whoop. There. Now my phone won't die. Okay. Oh, okay. See, white elephants are really useful. You get a whole pile. If you get 16 white elephants and 16 black elephants, you can play chess on a very big board. Oh, okay. I've got a number of things that I'm showing you that I've got coming around. Now I used to know how to do this. Okay. I'm going to have to go back on YouTube and figure it out again. Because it used to take me, granted, 5 minutes to do this fine little thing. Okay, the Rubik's Cube. My little brother used to do it in 45 seconds behind his back. Now, I somehow don't think he'll pull that off again. Okay, but I've got it, and this is one of the little goals I've got there, totally sidetracked. Okay, is to figure out how to do this again. It's a great fiddle machine. But when I'm talking about creative financing, okay, couple of things to look at. A credit card generating an income is one. Okay, and some of this is just common sense, really, when you think about it. If you have utility bills, take one of your credit cards, use it strictly to pay the bill. Now, my active account has a minimum charge. I only pay $4 service charge on it, but I'm limited to 12 transactions a month. Otherwise, it costs me money. So what I'm doing is I am going effective as soon as I get the clearance on the credit card. I will be taking all of that and going straight into redesigning it and going, okay, this credit card has the money in it. Okay, so pay the utilities off with it and then make one payment to the credit card. Okay, net result, my overhead, my expenses collapse. This is what I'm talking about creative. Think about what you're doing. People do not plan to fail. They fail to plan. Now, we know that basic conscientious financing and handling of day-to-day money is no longer taught in the schools. It used to be. Okay. And so many adults I talk to are on the verge of collapse. Some of you may well be on the verge of losing it all. Okay. But what would you do if I told you that the tools that I'm offering, not only have they been tested, but I use them myself? This one literally handles the financial side. Now I got 2 other financial books that I'm in the process of writing that will eventually come out. I'm not going to give you a time frame on them. Okay. This is the one we're going to look at next week. Okay, starting on Friday, which is literally building your self-esteem. Where did that fine little note go that I made? Yeah. Next week, we're going to be looking at self-worth and building your self-esteem. The thing is, all of these things are connected. One way that I have found that your self-esteem immediately starts to climb is if you find that you've got enough finances to keep a roof comfortably over your head, to enjoy yourself with a little bit of entertainment. These things, once that money starts moving, your self-esteem, your feeling of self-worth, of independence, all of a sudden starts to show up. And this is what we're working on. Because the reality is, yes, I could go into all these UFO reports and all the research on Sasquatch, or I could go into all these ancient mysteries and start doing the research and regurgitating a whole pile of new stuff that other people have already found. Okay. Or we can talk about, what's on the planet, on another planet. I could look into astronomy and get a little bit more advanced on that. From my way of thinking, it boils down to this. We have billions of people out there watching people tell you the world's going to end, we're all going to die, or conversely, watching other people play games. Okay, here's a game I'm asking you not to watch, but pay attention to, and then participate in. Okay, I think it was Hasbro, decades back in the 80s, maybe the 90s. There was a game called The Game of Life. Okay, we're playing a different game of life here. I'm taking this creative financing in point form, okay, with different skills and different goals and what have you. We're looking at organizing. I'm organizing my life and hoping by sharing this with you, you will get your life organized as well. Because I'll tell you, it's easy to die. It's simple to die. There's lots of options. Okay. Living is a challenge. Okay. I intend on turning the lights on and showing you all kinds of neat little things, not the least of which is this. One of the things that we got to look at. Okay. People talk about these case lot sales coming out. And you look at it and go, well, I can't afford to, if I buy 12 cans of vegetable soup, now I don't have money to buy anything else. No problem. Get together with a neighbor, a friend, a family member. Okay, get together with a stranger. Split the cost and the food. Now you've got a wider variety and a stockpile. Okay, and this is what we're looking at. Okay, now I'm looking at this in a very simple fashion. To me, it's what I call common sense. Of course, I've got an advantage. I literally see the positive, the negative, and the neutral all at the same time. I don't expect you guys to be able to pull that one off. I'm just physically not built the same way. Okay, the reality of it is, I get my pleasure, if you will. I've been asked, what do you enjoy? Well, I will tell you, I love hearing about people, like somebody, I forget who it was, wouldn't tell you anyway, but somebody bought this particular book. They wrote me and I'm paraphrasing, but they wrote me a letter. They bought, Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. Prior to getting it, they were having trouble making ends meet. They put the information to use, and within 3 months, financed a brand new car, which they required. Okay, and bear in mind, I love the post I saw the other day. A Ford Escort will stay, or a Cadillac. Both will get you the same place. Both will transport you. Okay, whether you've got a state-of-the-art computer or one that is 4 years old, it will do the same thing. Okay, it's very simple. A pencil, or a Bic pen, or I think that was Bic. A Bic pen will still write on paper the same way that a gold embossed pen will work. See, now the odd thing there, Joseph, is this is what I've been telling people for years. Joseph goes, years ago, went to the bank to borrow $250 for a printer. The banker said, wait 6 months, make the payments to yourself, then buy a short-term savings bond up to the limit you have. And this is a neat little thing. This is what I'm telling people, you're so far ahead of the game in a lot of ways, Joseph, that, I'm glad you're here. But what you're talking about is things that literally most people overlook. This is why as soon as I got the money in the bank, I'll be going back and getting these short-term investments. They are low interest. They don't pay a lot, but they're absolutely rock solid, and we'll turn around. As a matter of fact, I got it checked, but I've got, I think, 14,000 in an investment fund right now. But inside that investment fund, I've got two $5,000 investments fed by it that are automatically being reinvested with the interest on a perpetual time. I can't get the investment out of the bank for another 8 years anyway. So by putting it in every year, it will generate that much more tax-free interest. Okay, net result, I'm going to be in good shape. And as I get more in there, which I've already got a plan on doing that, okay, as I break the surface of the water again, i.e., I come from way up here. I literally 3 years ago, I had $100,000 in my bank. I was an absolute mitigated idiot. I am now down underwater as far down as I can go. Okay, I do have enough to cover my rent at the end of the month. Okay, which is a good thing. So it is climbing. And I've already started to climb. I told you 2 days ago it was going to start happening. Here I am 48 hours later. Okay, I don't believe in making myself. I don't promise anything to anybody. And I don't believe in false hope. So I am looking at, here is a quantifiable method. And you'll find out. I gave you guys numbers, and I'll have them again on the 24th, which was when I did this one. The 24th of this month, I went, here's where I'm standing. Okay, on the 24th of June, I'm going to tell you, okay, this is where I was. This is where I am. Because what you guys really require, and people on the whole, they talk a beautiful game. Oh, there you go, Joseph. Well, say hi to the pup. Here we have little golden dog, also known as little golden four-legged fuzzy kid. And I know from what I've seen and what some of you have seen, is Joseph puts his dogs as a critical priority. He is not one of these pet owners that go, oh, there's a nice dog. Now sit over there in the corner and not say a word. I know from what I've seen, Joseph has a phenomenal interaction with his pups. But what we are looking at is a major change in the way that finances are going to be handled. Now, oops. Oh, okay. Thanks, LA. Thanks for sharing your time with us, Joseph. Really appreciate it. The funny thing about like I told people there, LA, I'm not quick on the uptake. Okay. But what I am quick on doing is going, I require a refill. Now, we've only got another half hour anyway. I realize that. I'm still going to get my coffee. I will be right back. are back in the room. And we are back with the priorities. The neat little part about it, the real important part from my standpoint, I don't think that'd be a good idea for me. I've seen the Charleston done, and I tell you, I try and do that one, Christine, I'll dislocate both knees. Not an enjoyable experience. I take a look at a lot of what goes on and, the way that people are. And when we're looking at creative financing, it literally boils down to when your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. Okay. I know for an absolute certainty that starting effective now, I'm going to turn around and make things happen. Okay. I know my finances will continue to rise because now, 61 years, guys, if you're younger than I am, get your act together. Follow my lead. Yes, I am flat out telling you, follow my lead. I finally, 61 years of being dumber than a bag of hammers, I finally got it clear. Okay. Now, I don't intend on not enjoying life, in case you haven't figured that out. On that little bit of information, on that little bit of income. Oh, so do I. The drive-in movies. I remember the first drive-in movie I went to in Kelowna here, where I live now. Okay, 1980. We moved into town August 1st of 1980. Okay, and that fall, we went to either that fall or that spring. I don't remember exactly which. But we went to an all-nighter drive-in movie. And on the last movie that we were waiting to see, they had 4 hours, 4 movies back to back. Okay. Now bear in mind, we're talking drive-in. 4 movies back to back. We sat in a car for 8 hours watching a movie. Well, watching 4 different movies. Now here's the kicker to it. On the last movie, the movie we actually wanted to see, it was a movie called The Car. Okay. Halfway through the movie, some genius lit 300 feet of the drive-in movie theater's fence on fire. Brought in the riot cops, brought in the police. I mean, it was an absolute nightmare. And no, I was not the one that started the fire. In all fairness, at that stage, I was hard pressed to get out of the house and get in the car to go to the movie. But I am absolutely certain that from here on out, my finances are just going to be climbing. I am no longer interested in living one paycheck to the next. I am interested in getting ahead. And I'm telling you, if you follow the steps I'm laying out, walk in my footsteps, if you will. Okay, I'm not backing down on this for me. I'm looking at it going, that's where I'm heading. And the fact of the matter is, with the world out there, people are not taught. You're taught, literally, the massive majority of you are taught, fear everything. Look at the negative side of your life. Everything's going sour. Pay attention to that. And of course, we have the other issue. Here's here's a brand new bottle. Okay. You've got one of these already. You've got a water bottle. But take a look at this bottle. Look at the color of it. It's brand spanking new. And this one is not, by the way. It holds, oh my gosh. They'll tell you, it holds the finest alcohol. I'm like, yeah, so does the glass, right? But they'll tell you this is the newest one on the market. You require this, and they bombard you with this. Okay, I'm telling you, that's where you run into a problem. Okay, advertisement works. Don't get me wrong. And am I convinced that that'll give you a hand to get your finances in order? Absolutely. But then again, I'm not looking at it going, buy this book. I'm not going to tell you the answers. I've seen people that have written books, and what they do is they get asked a question. Well, how does this work? Well, buy my book. It's all explained right there. Not a snowball's prayer will I stoop to that. Okay. Any of the books that I've written, any of the tools I work with, ask me a question. I will certainly tell you. I've got it contained in a book form. Absolutely, I will. But I will give you the information. Okay. And this is why I say, when you're looking at the way your life is, or when we're looking at this chat room, absolutely, if you have a question, even if it's not in the same field, absolutely ask. Okay. Now, I mean, that's just the reality behind the way my world works. I never did understand this idea of dangling a carrot in front of you and go, if you want your life to change, send me X number of dollars. No. If you desire your life to change, here's how to make it happen. Now, and I've had people do this. I had somebody do this just today, actually. I had helped him with a lot of things over time. And I never did charge him. Primarily because I've known him for way too long. And all of a sudden I get a check in the mail. This is just because of help you've made. Now, I have never turned down money. But what I do here on YouTube, what I do here is absolutely free. What I write in my free newsletter is, as I just said, free. Consulting, I do it at $20 every 15 minutes. In other words, $80 an hour, as compared to what I've been legitimately paid at $2,600 an hour. Okay, that's approximately a 97% discount. Okay, but I'm a firm believer that the information that we're sitting on, so many people rely on the government to change legislation, on the bank to adjust interest rates, on God to come down and sort it out, the aliens to come down and sort it out. Heck, I wouldn't let my mother clean out my own room because her method was simple. It's not tidy, you've been warned, out it went. Okay, but my mom was not stupid. Okay, she'd go, okay, this is your stuff, you're not cleaning it up. It would be put away. She wouldn't throw it out because we didn't have a lot of money. So I did the same thing with my kids. They weren't doing what they were supposed to. I'd go in, clean it out, and I put their stuff in a box out of the way. Now, that took place when one of my sons had a bunch of videos and he was getting really volatile with them. So I took the videos away, but they were too expensive to throw out. So I boxed them and put them out of his reach. When we are looking at creative financing, understand something. Creative financing applies to the energetic world. Okay, get this. And I don't know I can't tell you the watts or the amperage or any of that. I can tell you that growing up, if your utility bill is high, you may be leaving your lights on too high. So if you're going by a door, if the light is on and nobody's in the room, turn the light off. Okay, I had up front. Okay, I got stuff I have back here because I had lunch back here. Well, frankly, this desk I spend probably 60-70% of my time in. So often I'll be eating here. But what I'll do is I'll go, okay, I'm going up front, so I'll grab that stuff, take it up front, and when I come back, I'll bring what I require. Okay, again, it simply boils down to planning. People do not plan to fail. They fail to plan. And Elliot's just let us know we're down to 25 minutes. And my coffee's holding good. Mind you, the last one lasted an hour and a half. You notice this one lasts about an hour and a half. The other one lasts about half an hour. So I've got a bunch of things. Did I actually get that written down? I think so. Gotta deal with that. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I am looking at a couple of very simple things. When I'm talking about creative, now, when I was a kid, when I got my first credit card, I called it I called it creative financing when I drove $1,000 credit limit up over $2,000 spent on it before it collapsed. Now that was creative financing. Okay. In today's world, I'm looking at it going, okay, these are tools made for making money for somebody else. How can I take a look at that, flip it around, and using their tools or using their money, how can I make money? How can I get financially ahead? Well, I figured it out. Interesting noise. I figured it out, and now it is time to turn the lights on and go, okay, guys, you desire your life to change. Here's the tools to make it happen. But get it straight. If you're trying to change them for you and for somebody else, you're likely to run into hiccups. When you change them for you. Okay. Frost Kitten, how you doing? Glad you could join us. When you are making changes for you, you are absolutely going to have a much easier time at it. And I know that sounds weird. Okay. Neat part is everything I'm talking about, I'm putting to use. And this is why I say I know these tools work. I'm not talking. I'm not. I'm not talking about these may work. I'm talking about I know proof positive they work. I'm using them. This is not a question of, oh, here's a way for me to make money. Buy the book and I'll make money. No. If you choose to use these tools, you're the one making way more money than the book is. But I figured it this way. I don't have to sell the books at $30 and $40. Okay. Because I'm priced it at just the right rate where I get a little bit of a profit. Okay. But I can restock so I don't run into a problem. This again is planning. Okay. And yes, I am going to be down the road. And these are things that right now they probably sound like hot air. Okay. I will be actively looking once the money is there to literally invest in companies whereby I'm getting a guaranteed secure income. And I know that's a really weird way of doing it, but I figured out how to do it. And I'm not about to turn the option down. Quite frankly, I'm in the process. It's one of those fine little goals I've got of writing a contract out so that I can hand it to somebody. Well, what I'll do is this is what I require. I'll take it to an actual corporate lawyer and go, make this legal. That's what I did with my divorce. Took the whole information and went to the lawyer and went, make it legal. Okay. He did it. I end up with a divorce that cost, between the divorce and moving the children over to live with me permanently a couple of years later, it cost us less. It cost us less to get divorced than it did to get married. Yeah, I mean, and you got to remember when I got married, really not that hard to believe it cost less. I was a heavy drinker, and so were all the people at our wedding, right? Well, most of the people, and we had an open bar. Okay. Well, I figured if we didn't drink it at the party, at the reception, I'd end up drinking it anyway. But I knew when my divorce came through, I was going to get married again. I was going to get married again. Didn't know to whom, didn't know how long it was going to be. As it turns out, it's likely going to be about 20 years after I got divorced the first time. But when I look at creative financing, it literally boils down to looking at the options you have. Trust me on this one, Frost Kitten. Marriage does have, marriage. I like the institution myself. Okay. But the reality is the paperwork doesn't do anything for commitment. It doesn't guarantee things work. Okay. But what I will tell you is if you choose to get married, okay, and you take on your other half's name, whether it's the guy taking the girl's name or vice versa, doesn't matter. The moment the name changes, numerologically speaking, energetically speaking, your life will alter. Okay, but that's because everything alters in vibration. Everything vibrates at its own level. And energy works the same way. The reason I talk about removing the clutter is because it frees up the energy flow. Okay. I really should do a head count on this, shouldn't I? This here is Christoph. Okay. I really should do a count and see how well he's growing. Because usually these poor little guys die on me. Well, he's still moist. But he is a cactus, so that's okay. So, I mean, I take a look at this and go, look. And that's no problem there, Frost. The reality of it is, marriage is an interesting thing. It wasn't designed by God, it was designed by man. I just happen to like the idea. And that's me. Yeah. And they go, mine's been married 5 times. I told her on number 3, I'd gift her on her 25th wedding anniversary. I haven't had to come across yet. Yeah. Well, that's just it, mind you. Can you picture if she had made the 25th on all 5 of those? That would make you very ancient. I mean, I'm a firm believer, like, whether people give gifts or not, the reality is, we're not planning on a wedding that is chock full of a whole lot of things. But then I'm not getting married for anybody. But this is going to sound really selfish. This is going to sound really selfish. But my reason for marrying my other half isn't for anybody but me. It's because I like the idea. I'm fortunate she seems to be okay with it. Okay. But it is simply, just buy her a Kit Kat bar. Or better yet, I believe it's an almond bar. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Nobody said that a wedding gift had to break you. It's like Christmas gifts. You don't buy ones that, you don't make it so it breaks the person. But when I look at creative financing, I look at what is going to work. I've already taught, there are things I'm planning on doing in the future. I'm already gearing up for them. And now with finances where they are, you can bet your bottom dollar. I'm going to take some of the stuff I've got around here that I don't desire anymore, and somebody's going to get it. Okay? Now, some people will say, oh, you're just being cheap. No, I'm just being intelligent. It's either I give it to somebody else or I throw it in the garbage or I give it to a secondhand shop. It's leaving my house. If it can bring a little bit of use to somebody for a couple of years, or I agree with you, Frost Kitten. Whatever you do, and this is the thing with marriage. Okay. And it's like I told my other half. I'm not looking for somebody that's perfect. I was looking for somebody that was perfect for me. And it's not a case of I desire somebody to live with. It was a case of I desire somebody that I don't desire to live without. You know, so for me, it boils down to that's where I'm standing. I just laid it on the table and went, there's my balance, there's what my goal is. On the table, flat out, this is the reality of it. Saves a whole lot of hassles. But when we're looking at creative financing, if you think about what you're aiming for and you plan accordingly, absolutely pair up with friends, family, I don't care, pair up with strangers so you can split the cost. Okay, now splitting the cost, I will tell you, works beautifully for groceries. Absolutely. Works like a charm. If you're going into business with somebody, absolutely go into business. Now I'm just going to put it to you this way, and I've laid this out for people before. I'm not going to go into great detail, but if you're looking at a partnership, absolutely either pay attention or talk to me later. Okay, if you're going into a partnership, and let's just say that we are talking about, that looks like you've got quite, oh, yeah, Frost, you want money to save. There's no problem there, Frost. Okay, the key to it is to take it, and I'll work out, I've got it written down somewhere here on the percentages I'm using. Okay, but I will tell you this, and it is strongly recommended in today's world. You either have a jar in your home and you put literally 1% of your income, whatever check comes in, take $1 on every dollar. In a nutshell, Frost, I can tell you how to start a business on $100, depending on what you're aiming at starting. If you're looking at a partnership, and I'm just going to use restaurant as an example, 50-50 profit loss, absolutely. But you put one person handling the money with 51% control and one person handling the floor, which is the customers, with 51% control. The reason you do that is so that a clear-cut decision can be made. Now, if really the variables of whatever you're building are determined by what the business is. But I'm absolutely quite willing to sit down with you and figure out what you require. Yeah, absolutely. The control has to be, and it depends on how you're doing it. The first rule of thumb is you never, even if you're selling shares into your company, you absolutely never sell all the shares. You keep a minimum of 51% in your possession, period. Okay, preferably, 51 is the bare minimum. Now, that's just the reality of it. Okay, certain things, and I've learned this the hard way, there are certain things you kind of have to trust. And what I mean by that is I've got to go to a lawyer for a couple of things, and I've got to trust them to do it right. But I also know I'm extremely picky on what I'm doing. And like you, I don't believe in releasing it to other people. This is why I built my word of mouth advertising platform, because I know how to make it happen. I'm just not interested in creating an extra problem for myself. So I will figure that out. I got to take a look because I know who they are. And I will make things happen at this point. But what I'm offering is literally if you follow the tools that we're talking about, okay, you're going to be in very good shape. In all honesty, if your life takes a turn for the better, it doesn't have a whole lot of direct impact on me. But I will tell you, when I hear somebody is making his round at the corner and getting ahead, I'm very happy for them. That's where I get my enjoyment. Okay, now, starting on Friday, because I'm gone for the next 2 days. How you doing, Gordon? Glad you could join us. Starting on Friday, we are going to be covering, and let me just make sure I got it right here. That's why I write things down. We are going to be covering self-worth and building your self-esteem. Now, I will tell you, it doesn't matter what you look at, what tool you use. You can either focus on the positive side of it, or you can focus on the negative. If you focus on the negative, I'm telling you, you're going to live your life in misery. Okay? Constantly afraid of things falling apart. If you focus on the positive, you're looking at and focusing on climbing. Now, yes, I can look at finances and say, I'm going to approach this from a creative side. It may fall apart. Now, I will tell you flat out, I can look at the astrology and I can say, okay, this shows there's going to be a communication glitch. I can base my whole outlook on that, or I can go, okay, that shows there's going to be a communication glitch, but this part shows there's a chance for expansion here. Okay, you can look at the positive side or the negative. Now, Frost, I hope you're not upset too, that you're not too terribly upset. What we're starting with, you're going to love this one. On Friday, we start taking a look at the way you're looking at the world and point out not only how you can make an adjustment, but we're going to show you what the outcome of that adjustment is and why it can work. Take a look at my old videos and you'll see that there have been changes in my outlook. Okay, and they're going to continue to change. One of the biggest things that we have to look at is whether you believe your life is going to turn for the better or you believe it's not. Either way, you're accurate. Okay, this is why, you put one foot in front of the other, you will get where you're going. We're just looking to turn the lights on so you can avoid some of the pitfalls that I personally have already gone through. I don't know about you, but if I know that I'm told there's a hole there, I'm much happier because I don't trip over it or I don't fall into it. I mentioned 2 days ago my finances were going to take a turn for the better. Okay, they have. Effective today, they shifted. Okay, and I already brought myself above water on a couple of points. Okay, from here on out, I will keep you posted with this is where it was on May 24th when I set the whole thing in motion. June 24th, I'll make a very short announcement. This is where it was. I used the tools I've talked about. This is where it is. Okay, and I'll do the same thing over the next number of months. And you'll get to see how things shift gears. Bear in mind, I had a windfall of $100,000 3 years ago. It is gone. Okay, it's just wiped out. Okay, so when the next windfall comes in, yes, I'll get a sudden jump. But that just means I'm going to climb higher faster. Okay, with this in mind, okay, and I'm just noticing we're at 5 here. So I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us. Really do appreciate it. Hopefully you've gained some insight into things you can do to make your life better, to handle your finances in a way that actually improve your life. Okay, that being said, I will be back on Friday. We start looking at self-worth and building your self-esteem. So, that's the next week. So, until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive. Oops.